Copperline are a four-piece band from Sydney and surrounds, fronted by Brad Christmas. They have released two albums, the last in 2022, and now have a brand new single called Sleepwalking, and Brad is here to talk about it. Hey Brad, how are you?
Oh, I'm really well, Sophie. How are you?
I'm very well and great to see you. We occasionally see each other out at shows at Sydney, but so many shows, so little time. I can't see you
Yeah,
all
yeah. I
the
guess
time.
that's the upside, isn't it? That we've so much choice that we haven't managed to bump into each other for a while.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm actually going to go straight to the new single because I have other questions to ask you, but I'll start with the single. So when did you write Sleepwalking?
I wrote it. It definitely started in one of the COVID lockdowns. I mean, it's kind of a COVID song for me. Um, yeah, and it was sort of inspired by that. I mean, I'm sure you've had the experience, everyone had the experience of just one day melting into the next one in the middle of COVID, and you sort of weeks, I found like weeks would go by and couldn't tell one day from the next. And
Yeah.
felt like I was sleepwalking. So it was kind of, yeah, it was a bit of a sort of wake up call song, because in falling into that sort of headspace, I was kind of not really noticing a lot of things that were happening and a lot of really great things that were happening. Um, so yeah, I kind of wrote it as a little bit of a wake up call to, stop just kind of being in your own head that it's a difficult time, but there's still lots of really fantastic things happening.
Yeah, I have been saying that time lost all shape during the lockdowns, and since then, it's a sort of I found me and other people I've spoken to, we all have this sense of not really knowing what happened. As in, it's hard to place things in the time frame. I think that's what you're talking about. Is to think, oh, that happened maybe in 2020. I can't actually remember. Everything's just kind of melded into one.
Yeah, it was a vortex and just big chunks of time just disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just didn't want, I was kind of conscious of like, I don't want to lose big chunks of life just because I'm sort of floating, drifting through it.
Well, and of course, so many musicians lost the structure of their lives with that. I recently interviewed Ellie Mack from a Melbourne band called Ellie Mack and the Unbelievers. Their new single, Hold On, was written during the pandemic. And I'm quite interested because you've said this about sleepwalking. I would have thought actually that a lot of you wanted to release those songs as soon as you could after the pandemic, but it seems like they've taken a bit of time to marinate or something, or maybe I mean, for you, was it a case of writing it then and then holding on to it and thinking, yes, it's still relevant, I want to put it out?
Yeah, well, I mean, we sort of put out our last record just at the tail end of COVID. So, yeah, this one was probably one of the songs that wasn't quite ready, wasn't quite finished for in time for that record. And I think the flip side of what you were saying about COVID happened after, like the couple of years after COVID, we were just so busy playing that
Yeah.
there wasn't a hell of a lot of time to get into the studio and I think everyone was just so happy for the opportunity to get out and, oh, we can play. There's all these festivals happening, there's
Yeah.
all these chances to play. So, yeah, it probably took a bit longer to get around to recording some of these songs because we just wanted to get out and do the physical playing thing a bit.
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about that, but of course, everyone was really keen to get out and play. It had been 2 years without much at all. And possibly producers were sitting around thinking, is anyone coming back?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Now, there is a line in the song that goes, all the things I couldn't bring myself to say. And I'm interested because you're a songwriter. It's like, if you know you can say things in song and there's an outlet there, I'm actually wondering whether that means that sometimes you don't say things. Like, he's like, well, I've got this way of documenting what I want to say, so I don't actually say it to the person.
Absolutely. It's so much easier to say things in a song than than face to face with people sometimes. Um, and I think sometimes when they find their way into a song, they come out a little bit more subconsciously.
Hmm.
And, in the heat of a conversation where, there's a dynamic between two people and, there's things that you're holding back, consciously holding back or, consciously trying to frame. Whereas I think when you put it into a song, they just kind of come out, yeah, a little bit more subconsciously or organically.
Yeah.
And
Have you ever written a song about someone or sort of like a conversation that you haven't had with them, but you wanted to, and then said, have a listen to this. This is like or is it? Are you just hoping that they hear it and understand?
I mean, I've certainly written songs, you know, that in instead of conversations. I don't know if I've ever actually, you know, said here this is about this. You know, I've kind of just put it out there and almost wanted to see whether how obvious it was. You know,
Yeah,
or whether, and because you know, often with a song you're trying not to be too obvious and too. I'm certainly not trying to be too explicit, so I feel like if people haven't picked up on it, I've done my job in some ways.
right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and then I suppose it's a bit like therapy, right? Like you've said what you wanted to say. You haven't actually adversely impacted anyone, and on you go. Next thing.
Yeah, and the song's really about a feeling. You know, it's more about expressing that feeling that I've got about that relationship, rather than trying to get a really explicit message through.
Hmm.
You know, so it might, and often it might start out with me imagining a conversation with someone around a particular issue, but by the time the song's finished, it'll be something else altogether.
Yeah. And I suppose in writing Sleepwalking, what you were actually doing was breaking the cycle of sleepwalking because you were
Mm.
taking a positive step.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. No, that was kind of one of the more explicit songs that I had. Is kind of like I read it like a slap across the face, like stop sleepwalking. It's
Yeah, yeah.
it's not
This is
helping you, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now this is the first single from a forthcoming third album, and Shane Nicholson was your producer, as he has been for the other albums. I'm imagining there are certain things you don't need to explain to him now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we noticed that a lot with doing this album. That I mean, I think we were attracted to working with him because we've got a similar sensibility anyway. But over the course of three albums, we've sort of absorbed a lot of a lot of the things that we're expecting him to say before he even says them.
Right.
Um, you know, like for example, he's really big on trimming the fat off songs.
Hmm.
The first time we went in, we had these 5 minute epics that got trimmed down to 3.5 minute radio songs. And this time he was sort of laughing, going, "Yeah, you guys really took on that advice this time. You know, I can't find anything to trim from these songs."
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, definitely we yeah we've learned a lot, but I still feel like with each record we're still learning and growing more, and sort of learning from his really deep wealth of knowledge about creating a great song and getting the best out of a song. But we
Hmm.
do him and I do egg each other on, and sometimes the other guys have to, if I'm left alone with Shane, they'll come in saying, "Oh, it's going to be covered with Hammond organ, isn't it? You two are just would have egged each other on for the last hour," and it's true.
Because yes, you do play keys. So I think Shane's probably thinking, I could work with this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we kind of share a view that either a Hammond organ or a piano, or preferably both, improves pretty much every song.
I didn't know that Shane was of this opinion, so there you go. Something to listen out for in the new album. Now, Shane used to be conveniently located for you because he was on the central coast of New South Wales, but he's now in Melbourne. So I'm guessing you had to make the pilgrimage.
Well, it was a bit of both actually. The last two albums, he's come. We've got a studio, or Paul, our guitar player, has got a studio in the Blue Mountains. So
Okay.
Shane has travelled to do the bulk of the band tracking.
Mhm.
So he did that this time. He came up and stayed with us for a week,
Okay.
and we did a fair bit of that. And then we just kind of leave the vocals, my vocal, and a few other, the bits of fairy dust at the end.
Mhm.
Um, so I went down to his new studio, which is a fantastic space, Ziggy Tone, down in Melbourne, with Damian Cafarella is working out of the same studio down there. Clint Wilson
Okay.
is down there. So it was really great to catch up with those guys, and I really like getting out of our comfort, or my comfort zone, for at least a bit of the process. Um, so it was kind of nice. I just went down for a few days to do the last bits and pieces, but um, there's something good comes from being outside your comfort zone and outside your day
Right.
to day.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess it puts a different perspective on perhaps the songs themselves when you're out of the environment you wrote them in and the environment you've been thinking about them in.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and just sort of there's something about being away from your sort of day to day, even if you're kind of in the studio all day and you're going home, all the usual
Hmm.
life stuff is still there. But when you're away, you can go back to a hotel room and just be totally absorbed in what you did that day and thinking of new things and new ways of approaching it the following day. So there's something really valuable about going away to record it, I reckon.
I didn't realize he was in the same space as Damian Cafarella. I can only imagine those two are like pigs in mud together, being in the same location.
Yeah. There was lots of they've sort of got these three little studios, control room studios, all next to each other, and there was lots of ducking in and out. And can I borrow this? What do you reckon about this? Have you got one of these? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, right. That sounds like a great setup. Since it's become the mecca of country music recording, probably.
Yeah. It's an amazing space with huge, big sort of band tracking room, and Clint's got it set up with a like a studio space to do film clips, and
Okay,
they do merch production. So it's a real kind of one-stop shop for artists.
fantastic.
I'm doing a
So
bit of a plug
is
for him here.
sorry, what was that?
I'm doing a plug for him here.
I was just thinking, I didn't know any of this, but yes, it does sound like it's very well set up. So it sounds like the whole album is done then.
Yes, yeah, it's all sort of ready, mixed and mastered. It's a funny thing these days. I grew up in the era where you recorded an album, you put out a single, then you released the album, and then so it was out there while it's all still fresh. And but the way music's working now, if you're in the digital world anyway, if you kind of put the album out, then you can't really release singles very effectively after that. So yeah, we're kind of champing at the bit to put the record out, but
Hmm.
the smarter musical business minds are encouraging us to put a few more singles out.
I know it's so tricky. I was actually today looking at something on TikTok, and Lizzo, the American pop music artist, I think we would call her pop music, was talking about how much great music had come out over the northern summer, but people probably haven't heard about it because the way that things work now, there's just not the machine involved to take music to the people. So it's all about, therefore, the artists having to work out the ways to individually build those relationships with fans, which is, of course, a huge change from the way things have been done for so long. It has been developing for a while, but I also think when making music is your core competency, you're not necessarily set up for how to make that direct connection with fans because it's a different skill set.
Absolutely, absolutely, and things are just changing so quickly. Between singles or albums, there'll be a whole new way of approaching it, a whole new channels of reaching people. So yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's great that we've got the tools now to
Mhm.
do all that ourselves, but it's also there's a lot of work involved, and you've got to do a lot more to find people. There's no sort of one channel that you can go to
Mhm.
reach a massive audience. You've got to just sort of gather them one by one on different channels by playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a challenge.
Well, it is. It's also a challenge in the world of books. Now, this is a world that you are in because I'm going to hold up your first book. So people who are listening can't see this, but this is Saltwater Boy, which is your first novel for young people. And it was award nominated, which is amazing. As actually, because I work in book publishing, I know children's books is actually a super competitive space when it comes to awards. Uh, there are a lot of children's books being released in any given year. It is very hard to get any kind of awards recognition for any book. So congratulations again on that one. I'm wondering how you found it existing in both book and music worlds. There are some parallels, but there are also quite a few differences.
Yeah, there are. I actually found the publishing world a really pleasant change from the music industry. I feel like the publishing world, I feel like people still really revere the book as a physical object, as a
Mhm.
physical property. I feel like in the publishing world, there's still inherent value in the product that I think music has lost a lot of. Um, and I feel like there's just a little bit more time to breathe. Music is so fast, it's you put a single out, you get a couple of weeks, and then it's sort of the space gets flooded by so many other things. But I feel like a book has a slightly longer lifespan. You know, it
Mhm.
was. I mean, my book's been out for a couple of years, and I'm still sort of people are still getting it, wanting to talk to me about it.
Mhm.
Um, it's still selling, you know. So I just feel like there's a bit less, there's a bit more respect for the art, the kind of physical product, and a little bit more space to breathe in the publishing world.
Mhm. And the other thing that can happen when you're writing for children in particular is not dissimilar to music, which is that you can go and see your audience in person quite a lot of the time. Children's authors are regularly invited to talk at school. So have you been doing a bit of that?
Yeah, I've done a lot of that over the last couple of years, and really loved it. I've been really enjoying just getting out there. I did just recently during Book Week. Did quite a few school visits, and it's great. They're such a good audience. Like it's so great to connect with them, and you know, just get questions and inspire people, and um, get them writing, get encouraging people to write. So yeah, that's been another really great part of the whole journey is getting the opportunity to do that.
Hmm. And what you were saying about the artifact of the book being important still, it is. And it's interesting that, yes, we know that music has moved away from that. I'm not necessarily sure it's because a lot of fans want that, though. I think a lot of fans still like the artifact. They still like CDs. Certainly within country music, CDs are being produced. So it's almost like the industry decided that CDs weren't needed because of streaming and moved it along from consumers who still, I think, do quite like having something that they can hold, something that they can talk to the artist about, something that they can get signed.
Mm. Oh, absolutely, yeah, and vinyl. You know, we sold a ton of vinyl from our last record. The funny thing I found was going to Tamworth around the time we put the last album out. All the older people wanted to buy CDs, and all the young people want to buy vinyl.
That is funny.
It's a funny world.
And it is hard, I think, for artists to keep up with everything that people are wanting. So I'm interested in whether you found that writing fiction has influenced your songwriting at all.
uh, that's an interesting question. I mean, I've certainly written both songs and fiction about similar topics.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I think there's certain things that, like, there been a couple of songs that I've written and thought, actually, there's a much bigger story here. You know, actually, the character that I'm creating in this song, I feel like there's 200 pages worth of story in this.
Okay, right.
um, and yeah, I kind of like with my book with Saltwater Boy, I kind of experimented with the characters in that story in a short story, just to kind of play around a bit, I guess, and see if it works, see if there was anything there. So I think, yeah, since writing the book, I've been doing that with songs as well. I
Mhm.
find songs are a kind of nice little entry point to a perspective or a worldview or a character. And a couple of times, you know, I've got a couple of ideas of books I want to write based on songs that I've written. So they're definitely intertwined. I mean, they're different disciplines, I think, and yeah, you're sort of doing using different parts of your creative brain, but it's all connected to that big creative lump in our cortex.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, because books obviously, novels involve long arc storytelling, and you are writing a whole other book again. It's not a slender book for children. It's actually got quite a few pages, and then songs are short arc storytelling. So it's not necessarily a direct correlation, but I would think that that storytelling instinct is very much the impetus behind both for you.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the songwriting that I love is storytelling songwriting, and I love the way songwriting really forces you to be really disciplined and really concise and choose every single word really carefully because every word has to carry weight. There's no room for words that don't fit, and I think that's really helpful even when you get into fiction writing. You know, carrying that way of thinking about putting a story together. It's, you know, thinking every detail, every word. Is this contributing to the story? Does this need to be here? Because if not,
Right.
It's time to kill that darling.
Yeah. Yes, I'm very fond of saying when I'm asked for advice to give to writers, which I am sometimes, is every sentence has to advance the story and also tell the reader what they need to know when they need to know it.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It just gets songwriting, I think, is just that magnified, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And yes, but with a lot more discipline. I certainly could never write a song. At least I don't think I could. It's just not enough words for me, Brad. And speaking of writing more words, last time I saw you, you were working on your second book. So how's that going?
Yes, good. I think I'm pretty close to a draft ready for a publisher to have a look at. You know, my wife is my first editor, my trusted editor. So I want to see what she thinks of this latest draft. She's had one look at it prior to this, but yeah, sort of pending her approval, I think it's ready to put out into the world.
Do you get nervous about her feedback?
Not so much. No, no. She's yeah. No, we've got this sort of relationship where I'm not so worried. I mean, I trust her. I know she's a. We were saying off air, she's a grammar Nazi. You know, that's what we do away from writing. So I know that it will be perfect copy by the time I've dealt with all her corrections. But she's a really enthusiastic reader, so I know she's got a really good sense of spots where a story's not working or if a bit of dialogue's not really authentic. So
Mhm.
yeah, I really trust her to pick up all every pick out the flaws.
Yeah. May all writers have someone like Louis to look at.
Yeah.
She sounds like a lovely person to have around. But I'm also thinking you would have been writing the album while you were writing at least one book, maybe both books. And I'm wondering if you have sort of a mental gear change for different types of writing. It's like, okay, right now it's a song and I'm not thinking about anything else, or do you just go with the flow, for lack of a better term?
I'm a bit sort of yeah, a bit predictable and disciplined with all of that. I kind of do them at separate times of the day, um, and I find that early part, like that first hour of the day, is the best time for me for writing fiction.
Mhm. Right.
Um, but I just sort of naturally I find later in the day is when I find it easier to songwrite.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, I'm pretty like when I sit down to do something, I'm pretty clear about what I'm doing,
Right.
and I feel like there's a bit more fart assing around writing songs. It's a bit more yeah, it's a bit to the untrained eye it looks a bit messier, I would I
Right.
would
Okay.
think.
Is that because you have an instrument, you're sort of going back and forth from the instrument to the words, figuring things out? Whereas with writing the fiction, it's just you in front of the computer, no moving around.
Yeah, exactly. And it can, a song can start in lots of different ways. It might be just a line that I've heard that I'm trying to scribble out, just sort of free associating coming out with all sorts of words. Or it might have just been a little lick or a chord progression that I think, oh, this is good. And I've got a sort of a fragment of a melody that's, nagging at me to try and do something with.
Hmm.
So yeah, the songwriting process is a bit scarier because I think I understand it less.
Oh, interesting.
I haven't sort of worked out how it all works. Whereas I feel like I've got a kind of predictable process with writing and fiction writing anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they are quite different beasts.
Yeah, but also you would have been writing songs first, if I'm unless I'm mistaken, as in before you started writing any kind of fiction.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I've sort of been tinkering away at fiction for probably almost a long bit. Yeah, I think I would have been writing songs before I was writing fiction.
Yeah.
But
I think both, well, any kind of creative process, the ideas come from the ether. So but with songs, possibly it's that you have, because the songs are a different, as I said, that shorter arc storytelling. You could have lots of different stories, whereas I suppose when you're working on a novel, it's one central story and you can tether yourself to that for a while. But with songs, yeah, maybe it's like catching fireflies. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's about, I mean, I think with songs, it's often a lot more impressionistic and about channeling a mood, so it's about trying to put yourself in that mood, to
Mhm.
capture where I think, yeah, there's something a little bit more sort of rational and about when I'm writing, I'm thinking quite literally either about a place or a conversation or, um, yeah, I'm sort of, the writing's certainly when I do it probably more literal and when I write a song. So it's,
Mhm.
yeah, it's less about capturing a mood and more about being in the right sort of frame of mind to get the ideas out of here and onto the page.
Yeah, right. Now you're also playing instruments for other artists, and you have another band called the Gin Palace. So what I'd like to know is, do you have a color-coded Google Calendar to manage all of this? Is it well maintained?
I tell you, I am such a, or I'm not a technophobe, but I have actually gone back to, for that exact reason, gone back to like a physical calendar.
Right.
So I mean, I have everything in my phone too, but I just find it so much easier to look at a month, and yeah, like having circling and color coding, and just to be able to get my head around what's happening.
Yeah, I think there is a lot to be said for because I have a paper diary, and most people don't have them anymore. It's like it's a lot better actually to just see it on the page and go, oh yeah, that's coming up. But I think also when you're writing it down, it kind of embeds itself in your memory, and then you don't actually need to rely on it so much.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's just something about being able to physically see it at a glance.
Mhm.
I'll notice, oh crap, there's something on Thursday here that I wouldn't see on my phone until I get my 1 hour before alert, and then go, oh, I better get ready for that.
Hopefully that's never happened where you're actually like playing in someone else's band and you look at the alert not long before and think, oh, I was meant to learn a few songs before that.
Hasn't got that band, but there's a lot of calling. Sorry, I know we were going to catch up on Friday, but
Can't remember what time or where. Yeah.
yeah.
But when it comes to playing for other people, I'm always interested because it's such a skill to be able to jump into someone else's band and play for them, and you have to learn whole set lists and things like that. Has it ever happened to you at short notice, and you then have to just try to get your head around some unfamiliar songs really quickly?
It has. I try and avoid that because, I mean, it depends what kind of gig it is. But if it's a really important gig for someone, I like to have, I can't stand those people that just sort of sit there and stare at a chart the whole time. And
Right. Yeah.
I like to have the time to absorb the song. And sometimes it's just about listening to the songs for a couple of months,
Mhm.
or a month or whatever. I won't even necessarily play, but I'll listen to the song so I know what the mood of it is, and in
Right.
my head I'll know where it's going, even though I haven't
Mhm.
actually physically worked out what the chords is. I know from listening from memory what's happening and what needs to happen, what mood is going on. Yeah, so I mean, I try, and it never works out perfectly, but I try and make sure there's enough time to at least memorize the song, and so I can be in the moment in the performance and not
Mhm.
not be like at a jazz gig
Yeah.
reading the real book chart, staring there while there's an audience looking at me. For
Yeah.
something.
Well, and also, yeah, absorbing the feeling of it, that's something that, yeah, is not going to turn up on any chart. And it is probably what matters most to the audience is whether the song feels the way it's meant to feel.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of the people that I'm lucky enough to play with have a really distinct feel and sound to their music. So that takes time. It's more than just learning what the chords to the song are. It's
Mhm.
about getting inside the mood of the song. So, but yeah, I love being able to do that. I love being able to, help people bring their songs to life. I think music is about being part of a community, and that's an opportunity to be part of a community and use my skills to be able to help other people realize their creative vision.
Yeah. And I think one of those bands was Boney M, wasn't it? I think I remember seeing something
Yeah,
where
yes,
I
yeah,
thought,
yeah, yeah.
well, that's quite a long way from Copperline, but obviously Brad's very adaptable.
it's probably as far as you could probably get from Copperline, but that was a great opportunity, and I find the shows where I learn the most and grow the most is often playing music that is as far removed from what I would usually play, and that
Mhm.
was definitely the case with that. Yeah, I'd never sort of played anything like that before, but it was great fun. They were such nice people, and um, one of the things about playing for other people and playing for you know people that have got iconic songs is you get to sort of, as you learn the songs, you're deconstructing the architecture of the song, so you kind of,
Right.
I find you sort of absorb some of the things that make these iconic songs, like what is it that makes millions of people want to sing Rasputin,
Yeah.
and like you listen to it, I know the bits, but once you actually kind of, okay, this is going on here, you break down the architecture of it,
Mhm.
you learn a heap. So yeah, I love doing that, and I love doing stuff that is just outside my comfort zone, because that's how you evolve as a player and a musician and a writer, I think.
It is, but it's also the harder path, I think, because it is easier to just stick with what you know. It's less troublesome on the nervous system for one thing, and less work.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly a lot of work doing those sort of shows. There's a lot that goes into it. Um, just preparing. I was talking to, I do a few shows with Killer, who's the bass player in Kevin Bennett's band, and we were talking about this the other day. And he said, all these people make jokes about how lazy musicians are. Musicians are some of the hardest working people you'll ever meet. There's so much work goes into doing a show, like that.
I have played tennis with Killer, Damian Cafarella, and Lachlan Bryan. So
Oh,
I remember Lachlan saying to me, "Oh, we need a fourth." This was in Tamworth a couple of years ago. Said, "On the other player is a guy named Killer." I said, "Lachlan, that does not bode well."
can I be on the same side of the net as him, please?
Yes, basically. And we had to rotate. In fact, I only played with Caff and Killer. Didn't end up playing with Lachlan, but suffice to say, their serves were a lot stronger than mine. And I know you play tennis, Brad, so we're now digressing into tennis, which I will stop doing because I'm presuming most people listening aren't interested in tennis. But they probably are interested in live music, and Copperline is going to do some shows coming up. Now you have, I think, one in Newtown, one in Queanbeyan, and one in Woy Woy.
We do, yes. So we've got Sunday, the 21st of September. That's at the Union Hotel. That's a sort of afternoon, evening show with our good friends Sam Newton, who's a fantastic Sydney singer-songwriter, and Winter Starlings, who's sort of a Newcastle-ish bass band, who another great band we really love. Then yeah, we're 4th of October. We're down at the Tourist Hotel in Queanbeyan.
Mhm.
That's sort of a home away from home with us. We tend to do a few shows a year down there. If anyone's from that part of the world, they'll know Country Rocks is the
Yeah.
mob that kind of get us there. And Mick from Country Rocks, it's his birthday that night, so it's going to be a big and a wild one, I'm guessing.
Hmm.
Um,
And then Woy Woy was the other one.
yeah. Oh, we've actually got another one we've just had announced on Sunday, the 12th of October. We're playing with a good friend of ours, Misty Harlow,
Mhm.
fantastic Victorian singer-songwriter. So we're going to do a show with her. We'll do a Copperline set, and we'll be her pickup band for the day. That's at the Southern Hotel in Berry. And
Ah,
then, as you said, end of November, 30th of November, we're going to be at the mighty Lincoln Pin, our
mhm.
favourite venue on the Central Coast.
I've heard very good things about that venue, but not yet been.
Oh, it's great. Well, it's just up the road from you,
That's that's
sort of.
sort of, yes. I'm curious though as to how a pub in Queanbeyan became your home away from home. What is it about Queanbeyan?
It's well, just through the Country Rocks guys. They were putting on some festivals, and I got in touch with them, and Mick, who booked that, really liked us, and we really liked them. He's in a band called Bruin, sort of a country rock
Mhm.
band. So we went down, and it's this great little family of acts and artists.
Mm.
And Mick's put on a few festivals down that way over the years, so we've sort of picked up a little bit of a fan base. And then we started playing at the Tourist, and all the same people sort of started turning up. So outside Sydney, it's our biggest crowd, our biggest sort of fan base, and
Right.
feels a bit like going home every time we go down there.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, people in Queanbeyan can look forward to you coming back. Now, I'm guessing that the album is not going to be released for a while, based on what we said earlier. So a few more singles to come, and then probably sometime next year.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, I think we'll do. Jules, our publicist, is trying to convince me to do about five.
Right.
Uh, we're just working out how much we can afford, but yeah, we'll probably do at least another couple. We want to do another single before Tamworth,
Hmm.
later in the year, and then another one or two in the early part of next year. So yeah, it'll be in the first half of next year, we hope. That's
Great.
probably about as long as we can contain ourselves and hold it
So that's
back.
to say, it must feel kind of weird to have it all done and then know it's sitting there and just think, okay, I've got to keep this under my hat for a while.
Absolutely, it does. But I'm realizing it's kind of the what's going on. I've spoken to heaps of artists that have sat on a record for 12, 18 months just to, release all the singles they want to release off it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it takes some getting used to, but it's the world that we're living in, I think.
I think it is. But the music continues, and thank goodness it does. And so people can find Sleepwalking out now. They can come and see you at those shows. And Brad, I'm sure we'll talk again at some stage.
I hope so. I'm sure we will.
Thanks for
We'll
your
bump
time.
into you somewhere. You can't keep away from us for that long.
I'll see you around. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Sophie. Great to chat to you again.